Good luck.
Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün İngiltere'nin en iyi 10 yılda yer alan University of Exeter'de eğitimi Alice'den dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Alice, the stage is yours now.
Thank you, Zainab. Thank you. Yes, my name's Alice. I am the International Officer for the University of Exeter. So nice to see you all this afternoon, evening in Turkey. You probably all know the setup very well by now, so I'm going to run through some slides, and then obviously there's a chat room, a chat box, and a question box. So after I'm done with the slides, I'll be taking a look in there to try and answer your questions, or to give you some links or contact details to follow those up with. So I'll go straight ahead and get started. This is my email address on this first slide, and I'll also put that in the chat box later in case you want to follow up. So let's start. The University of Exeter, we're a Russell Group university, and that means we're one of the top 24 research-intensive universities in the UK. We're currently ranked in the top 200 in the world, and we have been consistently ranked in the top 20 in the UK for the last 10 years. We're very proudly international, so currently we have around 27% of our student body of international status, and that does go up a little every year. Currently about 6,500 international students enrolled. And we have a TEF Gold Award for teaching quality, so as well as being very strong in our research side, we're also doing really well in the area of teaching and teaching provision, which is equally important, I think, for a university. So this is just a quick look at some of the league tables and rankings as they currently stand. And as I said, we have been consistently ranked in the top 20 in the UK for the last, since 2011. So yeah, for the last 10 years roughly. Currently within the top 200, worth mentioning the Leiden ranking there, which is less well known, but is very important in terms of research output because it's linked to citations in academic journals. So very well ranked for that one. For those of you who don't know where we're based, we're based in the southwest of the UK. So we have two main locations and three campuses within those two locations. The first location is in Exeter, which is kind of down here. It's about 2.5 hours from London by train, about 1 hour from Bristol, so it's very well connected. And then the second location is further into the southwest. It's about another 2 hours down to Penryn campus, and I'm going to talk about the campuses in just a minute. So let's move on. So yes, as I said, we have three campuses. Streatham is the largest of those three, and this is a kind of aerial shot of the Streatham campus. It's located just on the outskirts of Exeter, the city I mentioned, very close to the city centre. You can walk there in about 15 minutes, but it's also a very big self-contained campus. So you kind of got the best of both worlds. You've got a really nice student campus, which is also very well connected to the city. We have around 17,000 of our students based here, so it is by far the largest of our campuses. As well as humanities, this campus offers social sciences, things like philosophy, law, politics. A lot of science subjects can be studied here: physics, biosciences, also engineering, maths, psychology, and many more. We've also got some quite unique subject offerings here. So this is where our Institute of Arab and Islamic Studies is based. A lot of natural sciences, also things like liberal arts. It's a really beautiful campus. It's big, beautiful, green. It's a registered botanical garden, but it's also got lots of modern state-of-the-art teaching facilities and recreation facilities, many of which have been built or updated within the last 5 to 10 years. So this is a shot of our Penryn campus. This is the one which is a little bit further down into the southwest. As you can see, it's located just outside Falmouth, which is a town in Cornwall. It's a really lovely location as well, so it's right by the sea. Obviously, Cornwall itself has a lot of beautiful beaches. There's a really good range of subjects offered here as well, so humanities, social sciences. Some, but not all of the courses at Penryn have a real kind of leaning focus towards environment and conservation and sustainability, so that's a real strength of the Penryn campus. So biosciences, there's quite a good load of biosciences offered there. Also things like mining engineering and renewable energy, and some interesting kind of combinations such as business and law, business and law combination. It is a smaller campus, so that's something to bear in mind, but students here report a really high level of student satisfaction and experience. There's a great, really good student to staff ratio. It's very friendly. Perhaps not the right one if you're looking for more of a city environment, but it is an amazing place for outdoor activities, also for art and culture. It's a really strong centre of the arts, Cornwall, and there's a really good student life on campus. And then finally, St Luke's. This one is also based in Exeter, so it's not very far at all from the Streatham campus, which is the first one I mentioned. There's a little shuttle bus that actually links the two, also very close to the city centre. It's quite a good deal smaller. It's specifically there for our medical school, sports and health sciences, and our graduate school of education. So Exeter's a big university. We offer hundreds of different programmes, and I can't go into detail on all of them. Best thing to do to find out more is to go to our website. There are quite detailed pages there for each subject, which will give you entry requirements, teaching methods, career options, all kinds of things. But just to give you an idea, we'll kind of look at the 6 main colleges. So we have the College of Engineering, Maths and Physical Science, and this is offering things like computer and data science, engineering, astrophysics, and lots more. The College of Humanities, so this is where you can study things like history, archaeology, drama, art and visual culture, English literature. Then there's the College of Life and Environmental Science. There's quite a broad range of subjects offered in this college. Biology, ecology, as I said, biodiversity, climate science, climate change is a big one for Exeter, also things like geography and geology. Then there's the School of Social Sciences and International Studies. This is where our law school is based, but you can also study things like politics, international relations, sociology and criminology here. There is the University of Exeter Business School, obviously offering things like economics, business management, finance, accounting. And then finally, the College of Medicine and Health. So this is where you can study, obviously, medicine, BMBS medicine itself, but also various types of medical science, neuroscience, and human genomics. Worth mentioning that at UG level, many of these subjects can be combined. So you can do 2 subjects together, sometimes 3 subjects. We have something called the Flexible Combined Honours Pathway or route that allows you to do that. We also have things like liberal arts, which incorporates different subject areas. There are also 4-year options for undergraduate students who want to spend a year studying abroad or want to spend a year in a work placement in industry. So, as I've mentioned, Exeter is a Russell Group university, so it excels in research, and this kind of enriches our programme design and our teaching, and as well as the student experience at all levels of study. So obviously we have a lot of research going on across all of the colleges and in all areas, but I can just point to a few kind of key strengths. As I've mentioned already, climate change, the environment and sustainability is definitely one of them. Law, international relations and politics is another, particularly in the area of defence and security. And then finally, the field of healthcare, health and well-being, that's both through studying from the medical science side of things, but also from the social science side of things. I just wanted to mention some of the new undergraduate programmes which are launching in 2022. So that might be new to some of you. So we do have new programmes, a BSc in Business and Environment, BA Communications, Earth Sciences, Neurosciences and Global Politics. And that's just also to mention that some of these are in Cornwall and some are in Exeter. So if we move on to look at the qualifications, the entry requirements that we need. This obviously varies by programme, so it's always best to check the website for the specific programme that you're interested in to find out exactly what the requirements are. But as a general guide, for undergraduate study, we're looking for 3 A's at A-level, That would be seen as equivalent to a 36 in the IB or 3 higher level subjects, 666. I will mention in the next slide the kind of equivalencies that we have for like the Turkish diploma, so don't worry. We do also, direct entry onto our master's programs, you're going to need a relevant bachelor's degree. Usually we want something equivalent to a UK second class honours. So for Turkish universities, typically we would be looking for a GPA of about 3.0 out of 4. It does vary by institution. So sometimes we will look at lower GPAs than that. So yeah, it's always best to check with us, I think. PGR students, so research, PhD students, are ordinarily going to need a master's degree when applying. Also, you need to have a strong research proposal already written up before you apply. It's advised that you speak to a potential supervisor before submitting an application, and there is lots of guidance on how to go about this on our website, so I can always direct you to those pages if needed. So as I said, we do accept a lot of other qualifications, including Turkish qualifications. So the Turkish diploma, we'd be looking at about 80%, seeing that as equivalent to 3 A levels. Obviously, there are subject-specific requirements, so we might look at particular subject scores, depending on what you want to study as well. SATs, I know, are being discontinued, but we have been accepting them. And for international students who are still or have still taken them this year, we can accept SAT subject tests and APs. We also accept a really wide range of other qualifications. So I know, for example, in Turkey, some students are taking, I think, like Austrian system qualifications, and that's something we can accept, and a wide range of other qualifications too. So it's always best to check with us if you're not sure. We do have some alternative and kind of foundation routes for students who don't quite meet the entrance requirements for their chosen programme. So these are delivered by Into Exeter, which is our kind of partner institution. It's based right on the heart of our Streatham campus. So it's very well integrated with the University of Exeter and with our students. Firstly, there's the International Foundation Programme. This is normally 1 year, and it offers progression onto the vast majority of our UG programmes. We do also very recently have launched a 5-month fast-track version of this. So that will be starting this year. There's also something called an International Year 1, and this is a slightly higher level, kind of more intensive programme, but it can offer progression onto the second year of some of our undergraduate programmes. At the moment, it's quite limited in terms of what programmes you can progress onto with that International Year 1, so it's probably best to check with us in terms of that. But there is a list here. I've also given you a list of the areas that we currently offer the International Year 1 for. So English language requirements, yes, obviously IELTS is the main one, and we can also accept things like the IB or so standard level 5 or higher level 4 we'd look for, depending on the requirements. Requirements for English language will vary by subject and by level of study, so that's something you can check on the programme pages on the website as well. But generally speaking, yes, IELTS, we can accept a range of other qualifications, so TOEFL, IELTS indicator, the online ones like Duolingo are also acceptable. But yeah, just check the website or get in touch if you're not sure. So I'm just going to move on a little bit from looking just at the academic stuff and the entrance requirements to talk a little bit about the kind of social side of things and kind of pastoral stuff about studying at Exeter. We have an extremely welcoming and diverse student body at Exeter. It's a very socially, all of our campuses are very socially active. We have around 180 student kind of clubs and societies in Exeter, and something in the region of 150 in Cornwall. So there's a huge variety of kind of hobbies and interests on offer. And this is a great way to make friends, to engage with people, and to try out new activities. There's plenty to do both on and off our campuses. The campuses themselves are home to things like bars, cafes, music venues. We have a theatre, the Northcote Theatre on our Streatham campus. It's based right in the middle of our campus, and this is actually the main, so it's not just like a student theatre, this is the main regional theatre for the area, the Exeter area. So that's a really great resource. So also as the surrounding area, the city itself offers plenty to do. Exeter's a really vibrant student city. While in Penryn, it's close to places like Falmouth, Truro and St Austell, also not too far. These are all kind of quite bustling coastal towns. The southwest itself is considered one of the most beautiful parts of the country. We've got 2 national parks. We've got hundreds of award-winning beaches. So there's no end of opportunity in terms of getting outside into the countryside, outdoor activities, that kind of thing. And it's worth mentioning sport because the University of Exeter is a big sporting university. We're actually the #1 sports university in the south of England. So there are some really strong sporting universities, but most of them tend to be in the north of England. So places like Nottingham and Edinburgh, I think. But for the south of England, University of Exeter is the #1 sports university. We've invested over 25 million in the last 10 years in our sports facilities and clubs and societies and activities on offer. Currently, we've got over 50 sports clubs, and these involve things both on campus and off campus. So obviously things like all the team sports, rugby, all kinds of things, fencing. Go to the website, they're all listed. There's tons of them, but also off-campus stuff like sailing, canoeing, hiking, all kinds of things. Many of these are competitive, so some of them are just for fun, but many of them are competitive, and we're currently in the top 5 in the Bucks leagues. This is the kind of inter-university playoffs leagues between the different universities. Careers. So the University of Exeter offers an award-winning careers service. This provides students with 24/7 advice. It's also available to our alumni for up to a year after graduation. So it's a really useful service to make use of. They can give advice on interview skills, application writing, all kinds of things. Many of our programs include work placement modules, as I've mentioned. So you can do individual modules within your programs sometimes involving a work placement, or you can choose to do that kind of 4-year degree with a full year of work experience. The university has links with hundreds of top employers across a range of industries, and we do host regular events to put students and graduates in touch with those employers. And then just to mention, for students who are looking to perhaps work part-time whilst they're studying as well, that is a possibility. It's obviously got to be in keeping with your visa requirements, so that you'll be informed of that when you apply for your visa. But generally speaking, it's a part-time job that you can get, which I think is up to 16 hours a week. So our careers service on campus is where you can go and find jobs which are available on the campus. So that can be to do with working in one of our bars or shops or restaurants, but also we have things like the Student Ambassador Scheme, which is employing students to kind of run events and help out with meeting new students and all kinds of things to do with helping the university run. As well as that, there's a lot of work availability, job availability in the local area. So you can always look for work in Exeter or in one of the towns near Penryn. So this is just to mention, obviously, the new graduate route, which you're probably already aware of now. It's been kind of known for a while, but there is obviously a new graduate route visa available. So students who are graduating this year and onwards are going to be able to apply now for a graduate route visa, which would allow them to stay in the UK for up to 2 years, 3 years if you are a PhD student, to kind of look for work or to work. Obviously, the last year has been a really difficult time for students, especially international students who've had not just the obvious difficulties of dealing with COVID, but also the added stress of being far from home, border closures, difficulties with visas, test centres, all sorts. So it's been a really hard time. The University of Exeter has tried really hard to be responsive and supportive of students in this situation, and we have been praised by Public Health England for our response to the COVID-19 crisis. And we've offered students as much flexibility and support as we can. We also have a really well-established system for offering welfare and student support. So we have a kind of well-established free wellbeing and counselling support service at the university. We have a multi-faith chaplaincy team. We have residence life mentors, and these kind of support students in the context of university accommodation where they're staying. We also offer, so we have a dedicated international student support team, and they're there to kind of offer advice and help students, international students, with things like visa application and any kind of financial difficulties. And then we provide students, international students, with things like airport pickups. So if you're arriving for the first time in the UK, you can arrange to have one of these airport pickups where some of our current students, often the student ambassadors, will come up and meet you and help you back down to the campuses via coach normally. We do have something called a Global Chum Scheme that's worth mentioning. It's a really good thing to make use of, and it kind of, that's where we buddy up new international students with some of our existing international students, just to help them settle in and to offer them some advice and show them around. So that's a really nice thing to do, just to get settled when you first arrive. So accommodation, we've got a really excellent high level of accommodation provision at Exeter. We've invested a lot in accommodation, and we're kind of currently building new accommodation now. There is an accommodation guarantee to international students in their first year of study, which means that so long as you apply within the kind of time frame, which is normally end of July, we guarantee you a place at our university accommodation. All of the accommodation is either on campus or really close, so like within 15 minutes walk. We've got a huge amount of different options, so they're to kind of provision for students with all different kinds of budgets and needs and requirements. So there's catered, there's self-catered, there's ensuite, there's studio rooms, there's apartments, there's family accommodation for some kind of postgraduate students who may be coming with family members as well. Best thing to do is to go to the website. We've got a really good page where you can also get virtual tours of the different accommodation provisions, so you can actually have a look around, see what it's like inside, see what it's like outside, and that will help you make your decision. Obviously in Cornwall, so that was just looking at the Exeter accommodation, but we also have accommodation available in Cornwall, also on campus or very, very close to the campus, and also offering a range of different options, self-catered, single, shared, ensuite, all sorts. Same guarantee applies to accommodation in Cornwall. And this is just a quick look at some of the new accommodation projects that are being built. These are all in Exeter, these ones. So we do have a range of funding opportunities. The main one for international students would be the Global Excellence Scholarship, and this is available to all levels of study. So this is, if you're an undergraduate student, this is probably the main one you'd be looking at. A lot of the other funding options are specifically for postgraduate students. The Global Excellence Scholarship is merit-based. There is a short application, so you fill it in. There's a link which I can put in the chat, which will take you to information about the scholarship, eligibility, how you apply, and all that kind of thing. They're not full scholarships, so generally it'd be looking at between £5,000 and £10,000 reduction in your tuition fee. So that's something to bear in mind. As I said, there are other options also for postgraduate students that consider, so we are eligible for the Schevening scholarships. And I think the other one worth mentioning, which isn't actually listed here, so I'll put it in the chat, but is the Jean Monnet scholarship, which we are eligible for and which is available to Turkish students. So international fees, tuition fees, this is just a breakdown of the kind of range. It does vary quite a lot depending on what subject you're studying, particularly at undergraduate level. So a lot of the subjects will be around 18,800, but then if you're studying something like medicine, that's almost doubles. So it's worth checking. But I would say most of the kind of business and humanities subjects are around this price of 18,800. Science subjects and engineering are somewhat more, around 22,750, 950, I think, about that level. Postgraduate also varies by subject, most of them between 19,000 and 25,000, and that one that's just a bit higher is the MBA. And also PhDs will vary by subject. These are all listed, the actual prices are listed on the programme pages. This is just a quick look at the kind of undergraduate application timeline. So obviously we're getting towards the summer now, which is towards the end of the cycle. But if you're looking to apply for 2022, this is kind of when you'd be doing your research and figuring out where you might want to apply. The actual deadline for applications through UCAS, obviously if you're applying at undergraduate level, all of the applications go through UCAS. There is a deadline in October, which is for medicine applications, but the main one is in January. It's not a strict deadline, it's called the equal consideration date. So if you want to be considered equally with all of the other candidates who've applied, you need to apply by then. You can still apply later, and you can apply all the way up until July. I think it will show in the next one. But obviously universities will start filling places on their courses thereafter. And so the playing field might vary after that. So that's just something to bear in mind. So yeah, as you can see, you get around kind of February and March. There are open days. We've been holding them all online virtually at the moment. But hopefully that will kind of free up and open up as well by next year. And then decisions start to come in May. There is clearing. So obviously if you don't apply, if you don't get an offer or don't apply by June, August, there is a kind of final round of applications and places that happens at clearing. That's something you can find out more about on the UCAS website. It's probably the best place to look for that. Postgraduate applications are different because they don't go through UCAS. You can apply directly to us through our website. And for that reason, we don't have the same kind of strict deadlines. Students can apply all the way up until almost the start of the programme. But obviously, we do encourage you to apply probably by July at the latest, because any later than that, and it starts getting really pressured and rushed to do all of the other things like sort out accommodation, get your visa done and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think that's, let's see if there's one more slide. No, contact details. So we do have a presence on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and my email address is there. That QR code you can use to access our contact information form if you want to sign up to get emails about particular subjects. You can do that. I'll also drop the link in the chat. But I think that's kind of it from me. So maybe I'll go in and have a look in the chats and questions. There we go. Okay. I'll start at the bottom. International politics is offered on which campus? So we do have politics offered on both campuses. Probably best to go and have a look at both because the courses vary slightly. As I mentioned, politics in Cornwall is slightly different because there is that ever so slight more emphasis and leaning towards the environment and conservation, and that's reflected in the politics programme there as well. But you can study politics and international relations at both campuses. So yeah, have a look at both and see which you prefer. I think I can clear that. I'm hesitating about my age. Have you got any student who's over 30? Yes, of course. Yeah, there's no like age limit or age restriction. The only age restriction that we have for students is that they need to be, well, generally they need to be over 18. A few of our students are younger than that when they start, but they're generally within like a few months of their birthday. But there's no upper age limit, and you can be mature students are very welcome. I was a mature student. I went back to university several times, having taken time out. I should mention I'm an alumni of the University of Exeter, so I actually did my master's and my PhD at Exeter, so I've got quite a long history with the university. But certainly, don't feel inhibited or limited by your age. There's a real mix of students on campus, and even if you are like one of the older students on your program, I don't think you're going to find any difficulty finding like-minded people in the university and the campus as a whole. So I hope that reassures you. Are there any scholarships? What are the conditions? So I did mention briefly scholarships. Probably what I should do, I won't do it right now, but in a minute, I'm going to put some links in the chat, and they will include some links to the funding database and the kind of main scholarships. So if you're looking at specifically at the Global Excellence Scholarship, which I mentioned, which is kind of the main one, the conditions are that you have to have an offer of study with us. So you can only apply for the scholarship once you've already received an offer. It can be a conditional offer rather than an unconditional, but you still need an offer to study on one of our programs. Then you can apply for the scholarship. It's quite simple. There's like a personal statement that you write, and other than that, it's kind of judged by a panel. Other than that, it's based on academic performance. So it's designed to reward academic achievement. So depending on your grades that you've achieved and your predicted grades, that's kind of what the panel will be looking at. Obviously, other scholarships have other requirements, and it's always best to look at the information on the particular scholarship scheme to see if you're eligible and how you need to go about applying. Are there scholarships for PhD degrees? It's a bit trickier. A lot of the funding for PhDs are for UK students only. There is funding available, and often it's dependent on the research project, the actual research project. So it's a different way of finding out. There is, I will put this link in chat as well, but there is a kind of search bar for PhD, for postgraduate research, where you can search funding specifically for PhDs. So that's probably the best way to go about it. You can always contact me as well if there's something you're looking for, you're looking for specific information. Send us an email. In case if I get one of my APAs, can I take the exam again next year and send you the results later on? Yes, this is kind of a question about when you need to have all your qualifications ready by. You can apply before you get the results of all your qualifications, and that's generally what most students do. What we'll do is we'll send you a conditional offer. We might base that offer on previous grades or predicted grades. So we'll send you a conditional offer saying, so long as you achieve this, this, and this by, and generally the deadline for meeting the conditions of your offer is the end of August in the year that if you're looking to start. And so if you're looking to start in September this year, 2021, students would be needing to meet the conditions of that offer by the end of August. So that does allow you time to take or retake tests and exams that you need to do. Obviously, if you were looking to retake for the following year, what you might be able to do is defer your offer to the following year, retake your tests, and then go on from there, I would say. I hope that answers the question. Is the application deadline flexible? So yes, as I said, for postgraduate students, it's very flexible because we're not dealing with the UCAS system at all. It's just going through our personal admissions system. So it's very flexible. Obviously for PGR students, it's kind of even more flexible because start dates can be that much more flexible. But for postgraduate taught students who are starting specific programs that begin on a particular date, they really need to try and get their applications in by July. so that they're not left with no time at all to sort out their accommodation and their visa and their travel and all of that. The UCAS deadline, as I mentioned, there are these kind of set deadlines along the way that UCAS decide. There's the 15th of January deadline, which is called the equal consideration deadline. After that, universities will start filling places, offering places to students, and that might mean that the kind of playing field varies a bit in terms of, yeah, I think you get what I mean. So if you can apply by January 15th, that's the best, but you can also apply afterwards. So yes, there's flexibility, but it's also good to apply as early as you can, I think is the answer to that one. We did our application on UCAS for 2022. My son, who is 11th grade, we wanted Exeter very much, but we found the fees very expensive. Okay. We couldn't be sure from scholarship, but we still want to apply. So for 2022 entry, obviously the scholarship application deadline has closed now for 2021 entry. It's not yet open for 2022. So it will be open and it will be possible to apply. It's really hard for me to say. I can't guarantee any student that they will get a scholarship because there are a limited number of scholarships and because they're offered according to kind of academic achievement and various other things. If you wanted to send me his predicted grades or predicted grades, I could give you an indication as to whether I thought that he might stand a really good chance of getting a scholarship or not. I think that's probably the best I could offer. I know the fees are they're a challenge for international students, so I get that, and definitely scholarships are helpful when you can get them. So my email address is, I think, currently on the screen, and if you want to contact me there with your son's predicted grades, and I can try and let you know about possibility of a scholarship. Okay. If I want to do a law degree, do I have to study law at A level? No, you don't. Law is very open, one of the subjects which is very open to quite a wide variety of academic backgrounds and disciplines. They don't require you to have particular subjects, and they are quite accepting of students that come from science backgrounds, humanities, a mixture of the two. So yeah, please don't feel restricted to apply for law. Is there a discount on university prices? So I guess that's a scholarship question. Maybe I should put some links in chat now, and that can maybe cover some of that. Just be a minute. This is going to be quite a long, a long list of links, but there's some useful ones in here. So just pick out what you need and ignore the rest. Oh, no, I've got too many characters, so I won't do all of that at one go. Let's try. Let's try that. Mm-hmm. I think that worked. So these are some of the links, perhaps the most useful one, including the funding database, links to the Global Excellence Scholarship, also the Zamanı Scholarship, which I mentioned, accommodation, my email address, also the link there if you want to sign up for emails or more information about the university. I think I've covered the questions.
Yes, Alice, we have another questions regarding PhD degrees. What is the annual fee for PhD degrees? Could you answer that question too?
Sure. It varies. So it's usually between, I think it's like, so bottom end would be sort of 15, 16,000, and upper end is about 23,000, I think. So it varies by subject and degree. Best thing to do is to look for the specific subject that you're interested in, find the page on the website, and that will give you an indication of the fees for that subject area. In fact, I think there was a slide for that one. So yeah, 16,300 at the bottom end, 23,800 at the top end, but it's dependent on topic. Do you require LNAT for law? No, as far as I know, we don't require that. Also, do you have to take additional exams in order to study medicine? Yes, so medicine is one that you do have to have the UCAT test exam scores for that one as well. Medicine's also one of those subjects that has a slightly longer application process, two-stage application process. So there's the UCAS application, pardon me, and then there's also quite a involved, rigorous interview stage that happens. It's had to happen online this year, but ordinarily, where possible, it would be a kind of a full day, kind of almost like a workshop and involved interview in order to select candidates for medicine. There is kind of full details on the website. So if you go to the BMBS medicine program page, there's more information there about exactly what we need for the medicine applications. That doesn't apply for other subjects within medical science. So that's specifically the requirements that are different for BMBS medicine. Whereas if you're studying something like BSc medical sciences or neuroscience or one of the other medical sciences, that's not the same. It would be a much more straightforward application process, just like the other, most of the other subjects. Okay, I think that's all so far.
Yes, I think you covered all of the questions, Alice. Thank you for your answers.
That's okay.
So thank you for your great presentation. We believe it was a really informative webinar for the attendees.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, please feel free to get in touch.
Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. University of Exeter ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için Alice'in paylaşmış olduğu mail adresinden iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Aynı zamanda linkleri incelemenizde faydalı olacaktır. Yarınki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you very much again, Alice. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to see you again. Thanks to everyone for coming.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.